Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of Azure Takeoff Show. My name is Hatim Nagarwala, and I lead the Azure Developer GTM at Microsoft. Today with us is Taswar. Hi, Taswar. How are you?
Hi team, how are you?
Taswar, can you
So
introduce yourself?
sure, I'm Taswar Bhatti. You might know me from a previous show too. I work as a MIA Azure GTM manager also too. So I take care of the whole MIA.
Amazing, amazing. So, Taswar, why are we here today? What are we going to learn?
Today, actually, I wanted us to step back a little bit. So, sort of like stepping back and trying to understand what is really Azure Cloud. What is cloud computing technically? I wanted us to be like more like the baby stuff because there's a lot of information out there. I think sometimes the back to basics things sometimes is lacking. So that's what I wanted to us to step back a bit, go through the baby stuff because I mean there are students, university students, whoever, basically graduating, and then they're trying to understand what is this cloud computing thing. So I thought it might be good for us to step back a little bit, back to basic, and then eventually move forward, all the way to complex things that you could do within the cloud.
That is great. By the way, nice hoodie.
Thank you. I wonder who got these. What do they say? Yeah.
Cool. So that's a great idea. So let us deep dive into it. So tell me, what is cloud computing?
So cloud computing, it's a model of computing, like delivering computing services. So you're like, well, what is delivering computing services? I would say let's try to break it down a little bit more. Hatim, you like to go to a restaurant and eat, right? I know I like eating too. So think of it as a restaurant that has a lot of meals. Cloud computing is somewhat similar to a restaurant with all kinds of choices of meals, which we call services that we could actually potentially use within a computing environment. That's what basically, if I dumb it down to it, basically that's what it is. A cloud computing. Anybody could enter a restaurant, just like cloud computing sort of thing, that anybody with being able to pay for it is able to enter a restaurant or a cloud computing, basically. So the way that cloud computing works is like you have to be registered with it and be able to access it so that you could pick the food or the services that you want to use.
That is amazing. So when you say cloud computing, what are the different types of cloud computing available?
So they're basically some people say three, and some people I tend to say four. So I mean the main thing is like the cloud computing. The number one is public cloud. So we have something called a public cloud where if you have an account or you open up an account with a credit card, you could start using all of these services. That's the main one, the public cloud. It doesn't mean that everybody could access it. Hatim, if you go in, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden I have access to your environment. No, it's nothing like that. There are protection layers to it. There's Active Directory, IAMs, and all these services that you have access to. Now, if you go into your account and give me access, then I have access. It's not like publicly open to everybody. There's also private cloud. Private cloud is basically you're running your own environment inside your own infrastructure. So you maintain the computing, the air conditioning, the floor that you actually rent, all that stuff. It's yours basically. There's also hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is more like where you're using partly your private cloud and partly the public cloud. Because you might be like, okay, these are legacy system. I don't want to move it to the cloud. I want to maximize the public cloud, but I also do have some legacy stuff that I want to run. Or it could be for GDPR or residential issues that you have to maintain the data within your vicinity or due to laws and all that stuff, that it has to sovereignty issues that you have to stay within the country. So I mean there's those kinds of things. And the very fourth one is kind of a new one. I would say it's called multi-cloud. Multi-cloud is basically where you have not using just one vendor, but using multiple cloud vendors to actually host your services so that you could be actually utilizing multiple things. First of all, different kinds of services, because every cloud is quite generic of all the services, but there might be certain things that you could utilize on. And second of all, it's like more like for disaster recovery and all these other stuff, people might these days think about using multi-cloud to be able to shift from one cloud to the other, not by just by services, or maybe it could be residency issues too, sovereignty issues, that there is a cloud provider within that country and you want to use it, so you're using a multiple cloud, basically.
That is great. So
Yeah.
Does government also use the public cloud, or is there anything
Good
separate
question.
for them?
Good question. There, most of the cloud computing places they provide something called government cloud. So that government cloud is separate from the public cloud. So public cannot access it. Government clouds are really for like FedRAMP, like for federal governments and stuff. That they have their own environment. They have network connectivity to that environment, which is isolated from the public cloud. So it's only tailored for the governments. Let's put it that way.
That is great. So I love this. So what would be the pros and cons for me
Okay.
for each of these types?
So let's put it this way, Hatim, you live in your house and you use electricity, right? So you don't really care about what the electricity company looks like, what infrastructure they're running. All you care about is turning on the switch. I'm using electricity. Your meter runs, and you turn off. Your meter stops, and you don't pay for the electricity. Same idea works for the public cloud. So when you have your virtual machine on side of the public cloud, when you turn it on and it's running, it starts charging you money. But once you turn it off, it doesn't charge you money, basically. So, I mean, the service is not running, so you don't pay for it, just like your electricity. So, that's one of the main benefits of using public cloud. So, there's something called capital expenditure and operation expenditure. So, CapEx and OpEx, those are the two short form. CapEx is basically, let's say a team you bought a computer and you use it, or you're a business that you bought all these computers, that's your capital expenditure. So you're spending it and you don't renew. Operation is more like operation stuff. So now when you actually shift to public cloud, you're using your operation expenses, because you're like, okay, I'm not using electricity, I just turn it off. So I'm not using the VM, I turn it off, and I don't pay for it. So that's one of the main advantages of like using a cloud. There are trade-offs too. Trade-offs as in like you reduce the control of like the
Hmm.
security of the machine. It's not like there's no security, but like, I mean, you reduce that. If I know that it's going to be on the fifth floor, my computer is there. But in public cloud, you don't know if it's on the fifth floor, eighth floor, or where it is. So that's one of the trade-offs. Like when you use a private cloud, there's the advantage is like you have full control. Now now you know where the data is, you have full control over everything else. But there's a disadvantage. Now that you have the control, you have to maintain it. You got to make sure the AC is running, the network patches are going, all of that stuff that goes with maintaining a computer. It's all your private responsibility, basically. And hybrid cloud comes in a cost. The advantage is you could utilize what the public cloud does, but then there's a cost associated with like using your own infrastructure, and also the cloud infrastructure. So you have two expenditures right now. So one is operation expensive, but you also have the capital one that is still running and you still have to maintain it. So it's kind of expensive, but like it would allow you to actually uh, utilize more new advanced technologies. Let's put it this way on the cloud computing side. And the very last one, multi-cloud, it's the most expensive one. Let's put it this way. Every cloud provider, you got to pay for it. So the billing becomes more expensive. Let's put it that way.
So I understood the scenario. I had one doubt is when you said private cloud. So the infrastructure is still mine and just running a software on top of it.
So when yes, so I mean you own the infrastructure, but Azure it's more like a layer on top of it. Let's think of it this way. So the cloud computing is a layer on top of it when you use hybrid cloud. So you could connect to it and use it. But when you're running a private cloud, you actually really own it. So you need to have IT people. You need to have people that actually fix the patches. You need to have people that actually could get the cooling system working. That's all your responsibility. So that's what this the disadvantage of the private cloud. Now, if you talk about can I actually get Azure into my private cloud because I want to use their services, there's two options. One, you could connect to it hybrid. There's also another option that actually Azure provides. It's called Azure Arc. There's also HCI and stuff. But I don't want to complicate things for this time being. Maybe in a future episode, I'm hinting something. Future episode, we could talk about Azure Arc and all these other stuff.
I'm already getting excited.
Great. Hmm.
Cool. And you also mentioned about the hybrid cloud. So I understand that there should be a network connectivity between my private cloud and the public cloud on the cloud provider, right? Who
Yes.
pays the bandwidth between these two environments?
So usually, so there's two ways to connect them, sort of thing. There's the VPN way, which actually you pay the bandwidth. You just have a VPN connect. So wherever ISP that you're using, you just use them, and then like I mean, you just pay for the bandwidth over there. So there's VPN connect. Now there's other third-party providers that can actually connect you to. But then we're driving again too deep into the details of like
Mm.
how we're going to connect it. Let's leave it for a next episode where you could talk about the details of like how. I mean, we could even do a demo of like how do we actually connect to it too. So
Yes, that is exciting again. So, Tashwar, do you think there is something which is still left out in cloud computing, or you would like to share us with, which is not commonly found, or you feel that is important when we are understanding the concept?
sure. There's something called shared responsibility that people don't sometimes don't understand. It's like, what is the shared responsibility? I already gave all my stuff to the cloud. Shouldn't they take care of everything? So the shared responsibility works like this. So you don't have to take care of the electricity, how much electricity goes into the data center. You don't have to take care of the AC. You don't have to take care of the physical machines security. You don't have to take care of which rack or network it goes to. Those are responsibility of the cloud provider. Now, Hatim, when you launch a VM inside of the public cloud, now what are you responsible of is patching the services. So
Mm.
let's say the VM is you're running a Windows or Ubuntu or Linux or whatever patches you need to do, it's your responsibility. And whatever access, this is important, whatever access that you want to give to other people or whatever ports you want to open to access, provide the service, those are your responsibility. So that's where the shared responsibility comes on. So it's not like you throw a machine there, everything is open, everybody could access it. No, it's not like that. You have to set up those machines that you're going to be allowing certain network ports to come in, or you want to say that my team considered of person A, B, and C, I'm going to allow them to log in to this machine. That is the responsibility of the person who's using the service. It's not the responsibility of the cloud provider because they provide you with all these services. How you want to change? It's almost like giving you all the Lego blocks. How you want to build the car? It's your responsibility.
Yes,
And if you want to have somebody else play in it, you could invite your childhood friend and come play with you. But I mean, if you don't invite them, it's locked to you only. Does that make sense?
that makes very good sense actually, and
Mhm.
I love the examples. And I had one question. So you started with the restaurant example, and I
Yes.
wanted to understand from you is, I go to a restaurant and I have unlimited food. Can I do that with the cloud?
You definitely could, but at the end of the day, you got to pay for it.
That's right.
It's
Okay,
like
that's amazing.
you cannot dine and dash too, right? I mean, like you could
Yes.
dine and dash, and you're gonna be caught, and you're gonna pay for all the food that you eat. The salt that is thrown onto the golden steak and all that stuff. You gotta pay for it. Like you cannot just run away. So I mean,
That's
it's just like cloud computing. The buffet is open. You could pick what you want to use. You could, but I mean, it's like you could pick the steak to eat, or you could pick the chicken. It's up to you.
mm,
Which one's like more the golden steak, or you could pick a fish to eat. It's up to you, right? At the end of the day, so it depends on what services that you want to use. So it's an open buffet, and you could choose whatever you want.
that is amazing. It was an amazing talk with you, Tashar, and I hope our audience enjoyed it. Uh, Thank you everyone for joining us, and see you with another episode, and talk about more about cloud computing. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.